Hey everyone, it's Ivan, kitbadger.com, out here to share with you kind of a first look of sorts with the SureFire RC4, SureFire ICAR, and kind of overview of the SureFire High Angle Championship. So what does all that stuff mean? Well, SureFire actually just recently released the RC4 suppressor line. 3 different variations, the RC4 Mini, the RC4, and then the RC4 6 Arc. Keep in mind they're actually all 6mm bored out to, so you can actually shoot them across 6 arc, any of them. But the 6 arc was specifically designed for the 6 arc. As far as length and everything, that one actually falls in the middle of the RC4 Mini and the RC4 556. So with that in mind, they just released those. Keep in mind, I just finished my review of the RC3. So the RC3 was a low back pressure can, flow through of sorts. Really cool. Did pretty good on flash also, and yeah, low back pressure, which is great. But they basically customer driven, like, hey, can you do us something better with respect to flash and also something more durable? Because the end cap essentially on the RC3, I guess, wasn't as durable as it could be. So they ended up coming out with the RC4, which I will say is fantastic, like incredible can. More on that later. Also, last year at SHOT Show, I guess 2025, still this year technically, they ended up showing the ICAR. What is the ICAR? Well, basically a ground up 6 arc rifle, which is pretty amazing. Again, more on that later. Which then brings us to the SureFire High Angle Championship, which was really cool. SureFire does arguably the best job in the industry with respect to media events. What do I mean by that? They have the best catered lunches. No, here's the thing. What SureFire does do an amazing job with at these media events is meaningful time with the product for the attendees. So rather than hey, we're gonna go do a fanfare. If you've ever been to SHOT Show, you will appreciate this. You go to the range day and, hey, here's a magazine of 5 rounds. There's paper out there that you can't even see, but it doesn't matter because the gun's not even zeroed and it may or may not work with this ammo that we picked up from Walmart on our way here to the range day. And you're like, cool, thanks, man. Conversely, yeah, SureFire actually puts on events, which are training events for the attendees, which in some way, shape, or form end up showcasing their new product. By way of example, Tennessee Turbo Nights down in Tennessee with Kyle Lamb, largely doing CQB, low light, no light stuff for like 3 days with the new turbo lights when they came out. Amazing training, great showcase for the product. So with the new ICAR and the RC4, ended up going down in my home state of Idaho to none other than Riggins, or just outside of, to Hat Creek. Basically like world premiere high angle rifle training facility. Incredible. And we got to spend the next 3 days putting lots of rounds through both the new ICAR in 6 arc as well as some BCMs in 556, all of them topped with one of their sponsors for the event, Night Force, the Attacker 1-8 on the 556, and then over on the ICAR, I believe it was the 4-16. Amazing glass. And so for 3 days straight, we basically had a largely compressed week-long training that you would otherwise get at Hat Creek, covering everything. Initially, of course, starting off with zeroing, confirming zero, some different drills, basically reinforcing and double checking like, hey, are you continually building a good position? And so much knowledge. It was incredible. One of the things we also did was basically go over loading and using Kestrel, which I actually really appreciated. Had never really spent time with that. And yeah, covered so many topics. Amazing opportunity to go down there and train. And across that entire experience, just got to put a lot of rounds through the respective products. whether it was the ICAR and 6 ARC or, well, I guess all the guns had the RC4s. I will say, super impressed with the RC4. Like, sounded good, low back pressure, all that stuff, but honestly, what made me really impressed with it is did a low light demo one evening. I think it was night 2 that we were there maybe. And basically all the guns were set up on tripods in a row, initially starting with just a SureFire open-timed flash hider, shooting through that, and then moving on from there.
All right, so this is the SF3P flash hider.
Okay. Is everybody positioned where they want to be?
Hey, this is gonna be loud. Going hot. This is SOCOM 556 RC2.
I didn't hear any hits, by the way.
I don't have enough light. This is RC3. No, it's not. All right. I'm going to skip. I'll come back to 6 ARC. And I'm gonna go straight to, this is, all right, so I'm on the Mini 4. This is the SOCOM 556 Mini 4.
Nothing.
And this is full-size RC4.
This is 6 ARC?
This is 6 ARC RC4.
Everyone, myself included, was pretty blown away by the lack of flash on the RC4 in 556, especially like the Mini. Like, it was incredible. And so they were like, hey, do you want any more demos? Like, yeah, like mag dump that thing. And so I think we just had on hand a couple like 20s loaded up, or Andrew from SureFire did. So he basically ended up mag dumping essentially 2 20 rounders just as fast as he could send them up into the hill. And here's what we got.
You guys all ready? Yep. Is that a yes?
Yes.
That's cool, man.
It was pretty wild, standing kind of 45-degree off to the side, initially shooting through like the string, couldn't see anything. When he was mag dumping it, kind of towards the very end, it almost like the inside of the can, it looked like it kind of glowed a tiny, like naked eye by the end of, I guess, like a 40-round string or something like that. But overall, again, just really impressed. And then on top of that, like the ICAR, which again, really impressed. And I will say, they just went about it the right way. What does that mean? Well, you took a cartridge, 6 arc. And we're like, hey, we need to build a gun for 6 arc. Not, hey, let's shoehorn this into something we have, but like, let's build a gun for this. And guns live and die by the magazine. Reliability, if it's not reliable, who cares? Like, throw it away. It's a range toy at that point. Like, it doesn't matter. And how do you make it reliable? Well, with a good magazine. So originally they had started with the, I believe it was the 6.8 SPC magazine that Magpul made for a contract, I think it was, that LWRC filled with the 6.8 like PDW gun. Made their own magazine for that gun, for that cartridge, which actually worked well, even though 6.8 never really went anywhere. But they had to do some modifications. So then Magpul ended up making a dedicated 6-arc PMag for the ICAR, and then within the ICAR there's all kinds of crazy stuff that was beefed up. Again, you're making a specific gun for a cartridge, which is the answer, rather than trying to shoehorn something into like an AR-15 pattern. Like, the idea briefs really well, like, oh yeah, just this magazine and a barrel swap or something like that, or for that matter, upper. Yeah, that sounds great. But if you want a gun, like, just get a dedicated gun that will actually work. And so with that in mind, yeah, these guns ran like champs. Across, I think we had like 12 shooters on the line, like between media and everyone that was shooting. As far as the ICARs go, 0 malfunctions across that entire event of 3 days straight of shooting. Really impressed with that. Keep in mind, no one cleaned, maintained anything. I talked to the SureFire guys. I was like, did anything happen with these guns? And on day 3, drop a lube on all the BCGs. And they ran. 0 malfunctions. Amazing. Which I guess in part brings us to the High Angle Championship, part of this whole thing too. So with that in mind, like, how do you showcase that? Well, you get time behind it. You shoot the guns. And so there at Hat Creek, insane facility, basically set up this championship where there was a number of different strings of fire across those 3 days, and they were basically scored, like hit or miss. And some of them I think were actually timed also, and you basically went through and shot a lot. Something else pretty cool with that competition is you end up getting partnered up. Still, it's an individual score, but your partner can absolutely help you by giving you good corrections because they're spotting for you and stuff like that. And so as far as attendees, you had everyone from different media stuff, whether it was print media to include representative there from Recoil or buddies over at 9-Hole Reviews, they were there. And then I ended up getting partnered with, awesome guy, Ray from X-Ring. Super talented shooter, does a lot of competition and stuff like that, and really fun being partnered with him. Who, by the way, ended up winning the entire like competition across the board. Like, once they tallied up all the stages, again, really good shooter. Probably would have won by an even bigger lead if I had done a better job spotting, but still working on that skill. Really fun though, honestly, getting paired with him, if for no other reason than sled dogging, essentially. Like, you see someone doing good and you're like, man, like, I need to up the game, even though I never upped it to that level. And yeah, really cool. But if you're unfamiliar with X-Ring, I would encourage you to go check it out. Pretty cool channel, does a lot of long range stuff and does a bunch of competing, which is probably why I ended up winning this. But yeah, tons of time spent behind that platform and those cans, to include some fun stuff we did, again, with the 5.56, those BCMs. Man, really good time out there. Something else really cool there, again, education piece. Beyond training at Hat Creek, they brought in, with some of their sponsors, like some people to honestly just educate us as media. So Hornady ended up sponsoring the ammo for the 6-arc. I think we were shooting 108 grain ELD match, I want to say, and they had one of their bullet engineers there. Really cool, like nerding out with him, talking about stuff, like wild, crazy stuff. Really cool. Also, one of the guys from Night Force. Again, all the all the guns topped with Night Force, answering questions, going over some new stuff they're coming out with. Really cool. And Eberly stock. They had a rep there from that. We ended up actually using these packs, which, blanking on the model right this second, did a great job just carrying stuff. And I actually put in a lot of time with this pack on, I guess, day 3, just building, shooting positions with it and off of it. Same with Armageddon gear. I don't remember which model. There's a million of them, but this Game Changer, actually really cool. And with that, honestly learning how to use that Game Changer, which definitely some nuance, which was cool too. I think other sponsors too, obviously BCM, we're shooting those guns. May or may not be forgetting, oh yeah, Kestrel, really cool learning that. And then, pretty fun, apparently there at Hat Creek, they'll play these different card games, largely centered around getting to know people, getting to know names, stuff like that. And on the prize table, I ended up winning, mostly just luck, but ended up with this, which is pretty rad, from Montana Knife Company. It is one of their daggers, basically a homage to the Fairbairn Sykes dagger. Pretty cool. While the ICAR probably won't be out for at least another year or two, which fine by me, because honestly, can't afford to feed that thing should I get one in hand. The RC4 will be out and available pretty soon. And I am looking forward to getting my hands on that and honestly just putting in more time and hopefully doing a good in-depth review. I will say, across those 3 days of shooting that weapon system with that can, as well as that can on those BCMs, just really impressed across the board. Like, pretty amazing. One, the capability and astounding reliability of the ICAR, and yeah, performance of that RC4 is really cool. But yeah, amazing time out there down at Hat Creek. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.